For all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. Yeah, thanks for that.
Hey guys, this is the FANA Fan Podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Topless, and for all you Groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. And tonight, we're joined by former Maltby Main, Swallownest, Handsworth, and the current Grantham Town goalkeeper, Jim. How are you, mate?
Hi, mate. You okay? Yeah, all good. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Thank you for coming on. Short notice.
Yeah, been roped in last minute to save it.
Colliver's done his scouting work again.
Yeah, he's just, passing his responsibilities on to me as per.
Someone's got to do the media duties, I guess.
Yeah.
So, as we know, you've played for quite a few clubs. What positions you currently play at?
So, position is in leagues, or is in positions as in where I play and stuff, like what position?
As a position you play?
Position. So yeah, I play goalkeeper. So I played goalkeeper pretty much. So I used to be a striker, and then when I was about 15, I decided to just change and go in goal. I don't really know why, but just picked up going in goal and then took off from there. Really.
Go through spells, don't you?
Yeah, mate. Bit of puberty and stuff like that. Didn't really grow, and then got a bit tubby, and then got pushed to the back, and got pushed even further back. And got asked to go in goal, and then grew loads, and then now I'm 6'1", so I'm goalkeeper now. So yeah.
Well, it's one of them. You're much taller than Pickford, so.
This is the reassuring thing. We were saying this in the car the other day. This is the reassuring thing with for goalies out there now, is that naturally people think they have to be massive, but Pickford's proving that it doesn't really matter too much about your height if you can be good in your position and good at what you do.
Yeah,
I think it was the same years ago, back in the 80s. Remember that Italian keeper who won World Cup, Dino Zoff? He was quite small and he was getting rejected, but he did grow a little bit, but he was never the tallest.
No,
so,
yeah,
but
it
can be done.
Given, there's been a few, Given, Casillas, Barthez, they're all like, I think Barthez was like 5'10".
Barthez.
And he played for Man United under Fergie, so he can't be that bad.
You always remember that one, Barthez.
Yeah. Crazy guy, mate.
So, in terms of being a goalkeeper, then, what would you say is your main ability? Is it like shot stopping, communication?
This is it's interesting, this one, because I was speaking to my dad about this the other day. I would say, naturally, for a goalkeeper, everyone thinks that like goalies are just meant to be really good at shot stopping and stuff like that. But I'd actually say that's something in my game that I want to try and improve on. Whereas my catching, my crosses, and my organising, my distribution, or sweeping up, whatever, they're the things that I feel like I'm really good at. But I think shot stopping is an area that I think going forward I want to try and improve on, and try and save more shots. Sometimes obviously you can't do anything about certain shots, but as coming away, when goals go past you, coming away always thinking, oh, could I have saved that? You want to be thinking like, listen, I couldn't have done anything about that. So yeah, main attributes I would say are mainly just coming for crosses and distribution.
And you hear that a lot, don't you, when we talk about goalies, though? Oh, he's a good shot stopper, but it's one of them. Yeah,
that's what I mean. For me, I think it's like a little bit the other way around. A little bit, not too much. Like, don't worry, I can save shots. but yeah, I feel like I'm good at the things that a lot of people naturally don't think goalkeepers are good at.
Yeah, you don't hear that phrase. Oh, he's good at commanding his area, though, isn't he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing as well. You sort of need a bit of every aspect with goalkeeping, but you always have one goalkeeper what tends to have one ability which is much better than the others. I don't think even at the top level you have a keeper what's great at everything.
No, yeah, I agree. I think another thing as well, the older you get, is the mental side of it becomes a lot more important to in difference to kids. Like, you've got to be so focused and concentrated in that position, and you are on your own at times. So you have to be quite headstrong, because if you're not, as we go back to Pickford, that's something that I think he tried to work on, because if you're not, you can lose yourself a bit in your own ability. And I know he has had dips in forms, but I think obviously showing this Euros, he showed, especially in the penalty shootout in the final, how mentally strong he is. So it's that's a very important thing as well, I'd say.
I can remember at the start of the Euros, I said I didn't want him to play. I wanted Dino to play instead, and I think Pickford's probably our most consistent player. I thought.
Yeah, it's a weird one, the England discussion. I've always just thought Pickford because of how he plays for England. I know club football determines how if you're going to represent your country or not, but I do think he's the man for the job, and I think last 2 tournaments he's proven that quite substantially now. So I don't think his place will be questioned at all, really, unless he goes on to obviously really dip in form for Everton. But even after that, I think Southgate, he's proven to Southgate that that is his shirt sort of attitude.
Well, I completely agree. I think this tournament is made him number one shirt is. He's conceding 2 goals throughout all the games, saving the 2 penalties. And to be fair, he did actually keep it in us. I mean, it's not very often you see Jorginho missing a penalty, and to actually give us a chance to stay in it and keep us alive in that penalty shootout. Pressure's on him.
I know. That was the thing, though. That was the funny thing. If you see on they zoomed in on him as Jorginho was stepping up, and I think the ref told him to the ref said something like, "Oh, if he scores, they win." And he zoomed it. He had the camera on his face, and he said something like, "Yeah, no problem," and then just stepped up and saved it.
You beat me to it. I was just about to say that. You beat me to it.
Yeah, and that is just you talk about mental attitude. Wow, it's crazy. In front of 90,000 at Wembley, final of the Euros, just having that much composure about you, just says what he is, why he's there, sort of thing, why he's playing, because he's so composed.
That's another thing as well. He did his own work on Jorginho. He knew he was going to do that step, and he was going to roll it instead of I've got to save it and pick a side. He waited and he pulled off the save brilliantly. Sorry,
well, that's the thing. The Spanish keeper the game before made the error of just going down, and he was on his knees as he was kicking it, and it's just everyone knows Jorginho is going to do that little run up. You just got to be patient and just hope, because he never seems to nestle it in the corner, does he? He always just puts it to one side, but it's never right in the corner. And I think, like you said, he's obviously looked at his homework, done it, and just thought, patient and just wait till it comes.
Yeah, a bit similar when Eden Hazard were taking penalties again. It's just just stand there and wait, or just roll.
Yeah.
Again, yeah.
Speaking of penalties, though, it would have been nice if Rashford didn't nail it in corner. That's what he was aiming for, weren't he? He was going too close to the corner. Hit the ball. But it's one of them. You look back at Rashford's penalty, and he wasn't really looking at the ball. I think he was too focused on where Donnarumma were going that he forgot to do the main thing. And
I know. It was horrible. It was horrible for all of them, to be fair. Penalty shootouts are just minging, aren't they, in that sort of stage of the tournament?
Have you ever had any penalty shootouts, mate?
Yeah, I actually have. I've had a really funny penalty shootout, not for club football, but for university football, where it was we were in the semi-final away in Leeds. We were playing Leeds, and it was in the National University Cup, and we were we were 2-0 down after 4 penalties. We missed our first 2, and then they were stepping up for their third, and if they scored that, they obviously just won 3-0 straight away. We couldn't, or something like that. I can't remember what the scoring was, but it came down to I had to basically save the last penalties that they had. I think they might have been 3-0 up actually, or something, 3-1 or whatever, and I had to save 2 or 3 of the last pens out, and I saved them all. And then the shootout went on for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever. It finished 14 something, and then saved the last one, and it was just so crazy. It was funny. It was the maddest scenes going. Everyone was just going crazy on. I was piling on our manager Neil Cluxton, who was actually managing Chesterfield at the time as well. This was just before COVID came, so he was doing our university stuff and managing Chesterfield. So it was brilliant.
Fantastic. Would you say penalty saving is a strong attribute for you? You good at it? Would you say? Because I've seen some keepers in the past. I'll give you an example. Pepe Reina. I always thought when Liverpool went into a penalty shootout with him, he was an absolute boss. I thought that Portuguese goalie, Ricardo, do you remember him? He did it to England twice. Some keepers have got it, haven't they, in penalties? I think maybe Donnarumma's another one. But like...
I just think penalties are just hard. They are hard because there's so many things you look at. Like, you look at the run up, you look at how wide they're standing to the ball, you're looking in the game, are they a technical player? Are they not a technical player? Something I go off is, if I think someone's a technical player, I personally think they'll go with the inside of their foot and do sort of like that technique. Whereas I think if someone's not technical, they'll hook it across their body and try and smash it. So it's like, there's so many different things you can look at. Like a lot of pen takers seem to go across themselves, whether they're left or right footed, but it is tough. It is really tough. There's nothing worse than being sent the wrong way completely. That's not a good feeling. At least if you go the right way, you might not save it, but at least you've gone the right way and you've guessed which way he was going to go.
And then you can say that, oh, that was a good penalty. No one would have saved that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can. You can. You're not expected to save him, are you? So it's almost like a bit of for a keeper in a penalty shootout, it's almost a bit of like weights off your shoulder, really. Because if you lose and no one ever comes up and says, oh, we lost because you didn't save any, they'll say we lost because he missed.
That is true.
Yeah.
But unless you make a mistake and one goes through you or under you.
Yeah, but,
could be a cause, can't it?
Yeah, that does happen. That does happen as well. Yeah. Yeah, Kepa had that, didn't he, when he played for Chelsea? When they tried to take him off in the cup final. Yeah. He ended up staying on. He saved the first one. Well, no, he didn't. He saved one of them, but the first one was a horrendous pen. It still went in. And he's like, oh, it's like, stung back me. I was just watching it thinking, oh, I felt sorry for him.
Can you remember when, I think it was Tim Krul, where they subbed Tim Krul on just for the penalty shootout?
Yeah.
World Cup,
yeah.
Costa Rica.
That turned into a bit of a masterclass.
I had it once. I had it in a game once, in a college game, where me and this other keeper, we used to rotate every game because like they never wanted to sort of call who was the number one, who was the number two. They just rotated us. Fairest way to do it, both for college training every day. We got into like a cup quarter final, and we was in like extra time, and I think it was like 2 years after the Tim Krul thing, so it was still a bit fresh in the mind. And my coach came up to me and he was like, "Yeah, you're coming on in a minute," and I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "Because if it goes to pens, you're coming on." And I was like, "All right." And it didn't really work out because I ended up scoring in the last second, but I was set to come on for the penalties and be subbed on just for penalties. But it didn't happen.
Do you reckon you would have won if you come on for the penalties?
Hard to say. Hard to say. Who knows, mate? Anything can happen. My attitude to penalty shootouts are just like anything can happen. Like I run a Sunday side in Sheffield, and we got to a cup final this year, and we lost on penalties. And after, I literally just said I didn't mind, regardless, before the shootout, what the outcome was, because I just think there's such a lottery, and it's great if you win it, but if you lose it, it's just, there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. It's a raffle, and it's a bit of an uncontrollable outcome.
It is, definitely. And it's one of them, you could take penalties 100 times. You might get him, you might score every single one, but when you're playing in a game and you've got a crowd and there's more pressure on you, that's when it gets to you. There's practicing penalties, and there's evidence that.
I was going to say, this is the thing. Everyone was moaning about why was Saka taking one. They've obviously practiced it. He's obviously scored them all in training in the build-up. So I don't really get why everyone was moaning, saying, "Oh, why is Saka even on the fifth one?" Like, they've clearly worked it out. But like you say, in the heat of the moment, it is different, isn't it? When he's got to step up as the last taker, pressures on to score. It's a complete different scenario.
Especially when you're at Wembley and there's enough full capacity there. It's like it was basically like a home Euros with the final where it was.
Yeah.
So just touching on Groundhoppers Town then, What's it like working under the ex-Wednesday Carlton Palmer?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's fresh. I think he's only been here 2 weeks, or just a bit more after 2 weeks. So it's quite fresh still. Obviously, there's been a lot of new lads coming, including myself. So we're a new group that's sort of merging together. And yes, from an outside looking in, the results wise, people might think, oh, that like they've lost that game or they've drawn that game. But from an inside on the perspective is that I think we're looking good, and we've got some really good players. We've got some really good, hungry young lads, and the management staff are also working together. And I think when it comes to the first game of the season, I think we're going to be absolutely fine in competing within the league and hopefully push for the playoffs.
Hopefully, mate, and good luck for it. Yeah, definitely try and get down there to watch a few as well.
Yeah,
I'll beat it for myself.
Yeah, like I say, there'll be some good away trips. That's one thing I'm looking forward to. I played for Maltby last 3 years, and a lot of the games are very not local and as such, but they're only like the furthest away trip I think might be Knaresborough. I think it's only like an hour and a half from Sheffield.
Whereas it's just above York, yeah.
Yeah, where there's some pretty long away trips, which are going to be like some good days out. Granted, we win obviously on the bus on the way home, but it'd be nice to see some new grounds and likes of South Shields, and I'm excited to play at FC United in Manchester. That's another one because that's a bit like a stadium now.
Yeah.
Scarborough have just built a new ground as well. Well, not just new, but new a couple of years back. So it'd be good to experience some of these new teams and these new grounds and travel a bit further up the country to play my football.
Yeah, I just want to answer that. You will absolutely love FC United Manchester. Atmosphere there is incredible, absolutely biblical. I think.
I was just going to say their ground. Like, what's their ground? Is their ground a stadium?
Yeah, Broadhurst Park. It's pretty big. Yeah,
yeah,
decent size for there, definitely.
What's their capacity?
Pardon?
What's their max capacity?
I don't know the max capacity. I think it's about 3,000. I'd say.
Really?
I mean, when I went there that Tuesday night, February 2020, it was like 1,300.
Really?
They get that regularly. So yeah,
really?
there's constant singing throughout. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, South Shields get a lot as well. I think they get about 2,000.
Well, they've just gone full time as well, and they're actually extending the ground on one side. I believe. Really? I think they're building a stand. Yeah. Scarborough, I think, have got a big fan base.
Yeah. Well, they were in the Football League, weren't they, under Warnock?
Yes. They went down after that Jimmy Glass goal. And then
really?
They folded, didn't they? Yeah.
Was that the keeper?
Yeah. Last minute, Carlisle needed to stay up, and comes up from corner. It ball falls 2 minutes in. Then everyone jumped on him.
Yeah,
Scarborough, a team that suffered from that, and they never really recovered, so they had to start again. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully something like that happens with us, except a scoring added time to get us in the playoffs or something.
Have you ever scored as a goalie?
Yes.
You've come up from a corner and it's come to you?
No.
Oh no, okay.
A kick.
A wind assisted kick, was it?
It was a kick out my hands.
Okay.
Landed like just inside the box or their box, skidded in when I was 18. Wow. So I was a bit like, and then the worst part about it was the keeper was like running back and he was like slipping up trying to get there. It didn't go clean in, so it was a bit like it was a bit like oh wow, that's gone in, like a bit like I felt a bit bad for him. Instead of it going straight in and just having the reaction of like, yeah, come on, celebrating.
Was it a match-winning goal?
No, I think it was quite a comfortable win, to be fair, which was also because I have seen a clip in non-league where a keeper scores from like a free kick in his own half for like I think it's the Hamill Hampstead, and it's like it's like the 91st minute and they're 2-1 down, and it's battering it down with rain, and this kid or this guy, the keeper, just kicks it. And it's like bounces and skids into the top bin. And when I say top bin, I mean top bin. And it's just absolute scenes like everyone's going crazy, including himself.
That's the thing. I've always wanted to see a goalkeeper score. Like, actually, a game, as closest I come was when Joe Hart played for Manchester City. It was a Europa League game against Sporting Lisbon. And there was equal on aggregate, but Sporting Lisbon were going through an away goals. So Joe Hart's come up for the last minute. He's won the header, and it just hit the post. And I didn't cheer any, as a United fan, I didn't cheer any of the goals. But if Joe Hart scored, I think I would have gone absolutely mental.
Yeah, well, it's something you don't see often, is it? So it's a bit unusual.
I mean, but looking at the fixtures this season, especially in the Premier League, if we're going to have fans in it, I might have been tempted to go to West Brom if it hadn't already been against when Liverpool went there. Imagine me sat in the home end, seeing Alisson score might have got me into a bit of trouble being a Liverpool fan. But honestly, that would have been incredible.
Yeah, that was a great header. That did not look like a goalkeeper scoring a goal. That looked like a striker who's been playing up front for 20 years. Absolute salmon, mate. Just rose above everyone and just nestled it in, didn't he? Just caressed it in with his forehand.
And don't forget the tall keeper as well. Another good one.
Yeah,
I remember watching it. I remember watching that one. He got crossed back in after the corner. I said straight, I thought, that's keeper's that. And the head stick went in.
Was that this in the playoff final this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then Hartlepool still went up, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, in the end. But yeah.
Speaking of pen saves, that was a great pen save. You know, the final save that he saves it onto the bar.
Fantastic.
That was a worldie, mate. They're the sort of pen save you dream of making. Off the bar and bounced out. It was brilliant save.
Yeah, a bit like that Chesney one from years ago. Remember when he going in top corner, he goes left hand to it.
That the Champions League. Yeah. Speaking of West Brom, mate, that's a trip I've done. That's a trip I've done many a times with Blackburn.
What's been your favourite one, if you've got one?
What professional ground to go to?
Yeah.
Tough that. I'd say West Brom's definitely up there. Okay. Villa away was good. I went Villa away once with my mate, who's a massive Blades fan, in the FA Cup when we were in League One, the year that they went on the run where they finished in the semis. And that was a good day out. That was a really good day out in Villa that day. So that was a memory that always stuck. But best ground, I think, in the world for me has to be the new camp. Okay.
Have you been before?
Yeah, I've been. I think I've been twice or once. Definitely been once, might have been twice.
Yeah, do you remember the fixture?
Yeah, it was an El Clasico.
Oh wow!
I know, weird one. My dad's best mate lives in Barcelona, so we used to go over and see them all the time. And he's a season ticket holder. And we was in this bar before the game. I was only about 6 or 7, and his mate, my dad's mate, who he went to the Barca games with, dropped out on the night. So we said to my dad, "Do you want the ticket?" And my dad was like, "Yeah." So obviously took it. And then because I was so little, he scanned the season ticket and just took me in with him. And I remember just sitting on his knee all game and just watching it. It was a bit of a boring game, but the one thing I do remember was the stairs were so high. We're talking a good 15-20 minute walk, mate. We were in the heavens. Oh. We're at the top. It took a long time to walk up to the top.
Yeah, you're literally climbing the stairs.
Yeah, it was a blow, mate. But the views and just, I don't know, something about that football club I just think they're brilliant. I just think if I could play for any club, that would just be the best club in the world to play for.
Wow. I mean, I've done the tour of the new camp. Never been to a game, but it's a beautiful ground, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. Well, I mean, they're in a bit of trouble at the moment financially. I hope they get out of it because they are one of the powerhouses of global football.
But, yeah, I think they're struggling a bit after the backlash of the Neymar and Suarez era, and also before that, obviously when Pep was there, I think they needed to maybe in the next 5 to 10 years try and get back to that, because they were just like an absolute powerhouse. Like you say, they were unstoppable, weren't they? No one could beat them for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, me and my dad say we reckon that Pep team in 2011 was probably the best team there's ever been. That's been a team.
Is that
it was that good?
Is that the one where they beat Man U?
Yeah, that era.
Yeah,
we thought were the best ever.
Definitely up there. I'd argue that the AC Milan team around 2009, that was a great team as well. That's definitely on there.
I mean, you could say as well that the Brazil team of 1970. I think that one was before our time, but still, yeah.
The AC Milan one as well would be the Istanbul fan. If you look at the squad list or the team sheet that day, mate, wow, the class comparison from AC Milan to what Liverpool had is just ridiculous. How Liverpool came out winning that trophy. Steven Gerrard was definitely the reason behind all that.
It'll be all night talking about Istanbul, I will, mate. So, yeah. Mate, is there any grounds in the world that you'd love to do apart from the Nou Camp? Like, what's on the hit list next? Could it be with Blackburn?
Yeah, I hope Blackburn get in the Europa League, mate. Go Germany. I want to go. I'd love to go watch a football game in maybe Germany or Argentina.
Argentina, I like your style, mate. That's one country I'd like to see games in. The atmospheres over there. It just seems crazy atmosphere, but in a good way. Like, not to the point where you're fighting and there's flares and all that. Like, I'm not a fan of any of that stuff. Like, that's just a massive turn off for me. If I'm at something and I see something like that, I'm just like, it bores me, stuff like that. I think if you're coming to watch a game of football, yes, chant, yes, get involved with it, yes, celebrate, but behave accordingly to the situation. Obviously, if there's kids there and things like that. Yeah, well, don't go to Boca Juniors versus River Plate, then, mate. That's exactly that. Maybe not. Contradicting myself a bit there, but yeah, maybe something like that, or one of the maybe Celtic Park. Against Rangers. Yeah. Well, maybe not against Rangers, but you know them Champions League night, for example, when they beat Barcelona that time. Like, oh mate, yeah, incredible. It literally was rocking, wasn't it? Yeah, it was unreal. Let's talk about Blackburn then now. So, what made you support Blackburn Rovers? So my dad's dad was from Darwin. He grew up in Darwin, and they just always supported Blackburn. And then I grew up, and then I had a decision to make whether I was going to support Sheffield United or Sheffield Wednesday. Then I flickered between that Sheffield United and Blackburn, supporting kind of both. And then I got to an age where I was like, I need to make a decision here. So I just thought I'd go with Blackburn because of my dad, and he supported it, and carry on the sort of family support. Yeah, it's been turbulent times not so long ago, but it looks like the club's finally starting to gather a bit of momentum. Did you think you get yourself back in the Premier League one day? Oh, hopefully. I've been saying this to my mates today. We were talking about it. I was just saying, I think when I look at the Prem now, I do look at some of the teams, and I think we should be, with our history and stuff. I know obviously I haven't been brilliant the last 10 years or whatever, but we've won it for one. We're still only one of the few teams that have won it. Us and Leicester are the only teams that really sort of won it without. Well, I know we spent a lot of money, but you compare it to the other teams that have won it. Yeah. So I definitely think we need to be back in the Premier League. I don't think it'll be within any time within the next 3 years, but if you said to me back in the Prem in 4 or 5 years, I'd take that and snap your hand off of that. Yeah. Fair play.
And what's your expectations for this season then?
Expectations? Well, it's funny because linking it back to Grantham, our assistant manager Matt, he's a Blackburn fan as well. So, so we were talking about this yesterday, and I said to him, because he's obviously keeps up to date with football and stuff, I said, "Have we signed anyone yet?" And he was like, "No." So I'm thinking, if we haven't signed anyone, but I don't know if we've got. I don't know what the crack is with our transfer. We might be selling Armstrong, our striker. So I think if he went, not that I want him to go, that would maybe make room for a bit of spending on other areas we need to improve on. But we've got Ben Brereton, who's just come back from playing for Chile in the Copa America. So I think he's going to be the star man this year.
Yeah.
Good player. Very good player. Go on, man, carry on.
It's one of them. And I look at the Championship season now and the teams in it. And as a Sheffield United fan, getting relegated, I thought, I don't think we'll bounce back. But the more I look at it, there's not any teams what excites me. I feel like Fulham will come down. They're going to have a different squad to what they had last season because they were just full of loans. West Brom, yeah, they might be up there, but I mean, have they got the manager yet? I mean, they've been searching for it for a long time. They were linked with Wilder, that fell through. So
they've got Barnsley manager, haven't they?
Oh, is it finally gone through?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then Barnsley probably won't be in playoffs next season because he was the reason there. And I just feel like it's not an exciting championship.
I know what you mean. League One. It's League One's the league to be in.
Yeah.
Some right sides in that league.
Portsmouth, Sunderland. I'm glad they're in it, but I had to say it Wednesday.
Rotherham.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some, honestly, that league's getting out of that league going to be nightmares.
Well, what is this now? Is it the fourth season Sunderland's going to be in it?
Yes, well, the Sunderland,
yeah,
Bolton, they're a big club. I think they'll surprise a few people because they're on the way up. Obviously, Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday. I'm trying to think. Who else?
Who else from League Two?
Cheltenham went up.
Cambridge.
Won it.
Yeah.
Cambridge as well, yeah. And then they play Morecambe.
Oh, did they?
Morecambe. Yeah, Morecambe as well. Interesting. Seems like Morecambe away at Sunderland. Up there, cup final.
Yeah, I know. I think the problem with the Championship is they got near. I think 5 years ago they got near to the Premiership, as in the spending. But I think recently with this COVID, it seems to me like the Prem is just leaving these clubs behind financially. I know that you haven't got the richest teams like towards the bottom of the Premier League, but the top 14 clubs in the Premier League now, I don't think not one, maybe two Championship clubs could compete financially on the same level as them. But even then, not by much.
Yeah, I agree. And even if you look at the teams what get relegated, I mean, West Brom, they've been a bit of a yo-yo club. Fulham, they've not been in the same league for 2 years consecutively for a long time. Newcastle, when they got down, they were a bit of a yo-yo club. And it's because of the parachute payments, you expect at least one, maybe two of the teams what do get relegated to go straight back up, which makes it a little bit more harder for the teams in the Championship to compete with because the parachute payments. A lot of teams just put all that money into the transfers just to get themselves back up. If it goes right, great. If it goes wrong, then that's when you're in danger when it comes to financial fair play. But it seems to work for these teams and they seem to do it right.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's something that Wednesday struggle with, isn't it? They threw money at it, didn't go up, and now they're paying the repercussions a bit for it, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that's like they'll be stable. I don't know if they'll come back up. I personally not sure they will, just because of how competitive the league is. But it's just crazy if the gamble doesn't pay off, you don't get into the Prem. The backlash can be terrible. Like Middlesbrough as well. I think they've struggled a bit because they spent a lot, didn't they, when they were coming up to it and then in it, and then they've come out of it. Obviously, Warnock, great manager, whatever, but I don't think he's even got any money to even play with at all. Yeah,
it's one of them as well. I mean, you look at when Sheffield United got relegated, they stabilised in Championship for a few seasons, and they went down again. Sunderland, they went near enough back-to-back relegations.
Yeah.
So there is teams where once they've got relegated, they do go into a bit of free fall, and they don't get back into where they want with the Premier League. And touching on League One now, especially being a United fan, and it took 6 years for us to get it out. Like you said, Jake, when Morecambe plays Sunderland, that would be like their big day out. And that's where I feel like, especially the players, when they go to Sunderland, they're like, oh, well, this is where we're going to put the effort in because it's like a cup final for us, if you know what I mean. And when you've got every single team wanting to put 110% effort in because they're at Bramall Lane or they're at Stadium of Light, that's when you, as a team, will struggle because everyone's up in their game against you, which means you can't have an off day, otherwise you're screwed.
Has he gone then for a sec?
Oh, I'm back. Sorry, connection's a bit unstable.
So I was just touching on like how especially like when teams go to Sunderland, it makes them play 110% just because they're at a stadium where they've got to show something, and they're at a team where big by name, big in the Premier League, they've got to get a victory in. It goes down in history. So the pressure's on the Sunderlands and your Portsmouths and your Wednesdays this season to go and put more than 100% in each game, because to drop that standards, that's when the others are going to catch on it. And I feel that's why it's so hard to get out of that league.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree.
So, you know, with Blackburn, then, is Venky's still in charge?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they really have much involvement, but I think they are still in charge of the club. Yeah, but I've heard some crazy stories about them over the years, how badly they were advised, and I think they sort of trusted the wrong people, and they got a lot of bad publicity. When in reality, I think they've actually been quite good. It's just the people that have been supposedly working for them haven't sort of communicated with them. Like, I think when they first took over, I don't even think they knew we could get relegated out of the Premier League, because they own an American NFL or basketball team or something, and I don't think they knew we could get relegated. So I think it's just they've been badly advised over the years, and that's why they get this bad publicity. When in reality, I think they're actually done a decent enough job. Really, they've put money into the club at hard times. Like when we got relegated, you talk about obviously getting relegated, like you were just saying, and how it can affect your budget. When we went down, we actually ended up signing loads of players. Like we signed Bradley Dack, Armstrong, and these turned out to be our most crucial players today, who really make us the team we are. Obviously, Dack's injured because he's done his ACLs, but I think he's done both ACLs in 2 seasons, which is crazy. But him, Armstrong, Lewis Travis, I'd say they're our top 3 players. Obviously, Brereton as well. Them 4 are going to make the difference this year if we're going to do anything.
Yeah, interesting. Because we'll say that year you went down, a lot of nastiness was aimed at one man, Steve Keane. What's your opinion on him? What was your opinion on that?
On Steve Keane?
Yeah.
I mean, people in life and in football have off seasons and setbacks. Like, you see managers all the time. They might not do well in a job and then go somewhere else and do brilliant. You might see a player struggle at a certain team, go play somewhere else, be on absolute flames. Since Steve Keane's left Blackburn, I couldn't even tell you who he's managed since then. So I think his CV after leaving Blackburn speaks for itself a bit, really, and the fact that he hasn't been able to really get back into the coaching network or get a new job or anything. I know he got quite badly done in with that footage. Have you seen the footage where he slags off Allardyce in the bar? Yeah. I think that
was about Phil Jones, weren't it?
Yeah. I think that might have killed him a bit as well, because I think he got sued for that. But my opinion on Steve Keane is wrong man for the job.
Fair point. So I'm guessing you think he should have gone when you were chanting him out.
He should have gone when he kept us up the year before. When Allardyce left, we were 8th.
Yeah. And he got dragged into relegation, didn't he? Yeah.
He took us over and we finished 16th and we stayed up. We stayed up on the last day, but we couldn't get relegated anyway because it was something ridiculous. We got pipped, we lost 3-0 at Wolves. So I think you won
3. I think you were 3-0 up, mate. I think it was them that were 3-0 down, and then they got back 3-2 and goal difference, didn't it? Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
But the writing was on the wall the year before, and they didn't make changes. And then obviously the year after, got relegated, and he even stayed after that. He stayed another year in the champ. He stayed first 6 months in the champ to try and get us back up. But I think they'd lost the players. They signed some ridiculous players as well. They signed Danny Murphy, Dixon Atuhu, players that just passed it. They were just trying to think they were just playing really for the sake of it, maybe picking up one decent final paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a goalkeeper, what do you think of Brad Friedel? I can remember when we played in the Premier League and it was the 0-0 draw. There were 3 penalties.
I was there in the away end, yeah. It was a really hot day, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And did you miss 2?
Yeah, so Paddy Kenny saved 1 and Friedel scored, saved 2.
Yeah.
So,
I remember I got this asked me in a quiz over lockdown last year, who were the 3 penalty misses, and I think it was Lucas Neal for us, the Australian left back. He missed ours. Did Hulse miss one of yours?
I believe Rob Hulse missed 1, yeah.
And then the other one, I couldn't ever remember who the other one was.
Yeah, I knew there were 2 different penalty takers. At the top of my head, I've got Danny Webber, but I can't.
Was it Unsworth?
Could have been.
He was still there.
Yeah, it was.
Point,
Yeah, it was. It was. I think. Yeah, because I remember Unsworth got slapped, didn't he, for missing that one, and then ended up scoring 6 months later.
Ended it down.
Yeah, that one. Oh
Shocking.
dear!
It could have been, yeah.
What a game that would have been. I mean, I hate 0-0s, hate them, but that would have been proper interesting. That 3 penalty misses.
Yeah.
Get a bit of drama at least in that 0-0.
Yeah, I think Sheffield United should be more. We think we were happy to take a point in the end, but Sheffield United that year, there was a few results like that where they just
went down because of that.
Yeah, they just come back to haunt you, don't they? You always, whenever you get relegated, it's the worst thing because say if you get relegated on goal difference and you think, wow, if we hadn't drawn that game, we'd stay up because we would have had that 1 extra point.
Yeah.
If he'd have scored that bloody penalty.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of them. It's like if Gerrard didn't dive in first game of the season, we got them 3 points. There's loads of different factors, but over the 2 relegations from the Premier League, I feel like the 2006-07 season hit me a lot more than this one. I feel like I expected it a lot more this season than what I did towards that one. I think at one point we're like 10 points clear of relegation, and
yeah, I think you were down, weren't you, pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think the turning point last year, whatever, was the West Brom away when the ball just would not go in the net.
Yeah.
Moose Amos from a couple of yards out. Hit the bar. There was just so many chances, and I just thought if you'd have won that, you'd have maybe just got going a bit. But after that, I was thinking this isn't just a rut. I was thinking you could be in for a painful season.
Yeah, they turn out to be a painful season.
Yeah, painful season, but like the signings that he's made, well, when Wilder made when he was there, yeah, they might not have been effective straight away within this year in the Premier League, but going forward, a lot of these young lads, Max Lowe, Jayden Bogle, Ryan Brewster, they're all young, and I think they'll all come good. I think they'll all. I don't know if they're Premier League players or not, but I know that they'll all do very well within the Championship next year.
Definitely, and I feel like as soon as Brewster gets 1 or 2, he'll be on fire next season. He did it for Swansea.
Yeah.
Our only issue is who do we start with? Who do we bring anyone in? We've been heavily linked now with is it Kearney? What was it, Fulham?
Tom Kearney.
Yeah. We've been heavily linked with him. I feel that's because he played at with Jukanovic at Fulham. So I think that'd
be a good signing. We had Kearney at Blackburn, great player.
Yeah. Whether or not that's true, or if it's just rumours, because you always get that, don't you? As soon as someone manages a team, you've always got that player what will be linked with them because of previous experience.
Yeah,
but it's been a quiet transfer window so far in terms of signings, and there's no one.
I think there's a chance you might lose your goalkeeper as well.
Well, this is it now.
After him, aren't they?
The speculation Arsenal's willing to pay 30 million. But then I know Bournemouth's got a bit of a sell-on clause. I don't know how much for. So we'd have to sell them at that price as just to make some money. If not, get the money back. Because we're selling them at 25 and they've got a 20%. You're going to be getting the same amount as what you paid for him.
Yeah. I think if he goes, I think he needs to play. But I think if he goes and it works out for him, I think it could be brilliant. For his career, anyway. I know obviously Sheffield United, it won't benefit because they'll lose a really good goalkeeper. But I think if it does go through and it pays off for Ramsdale, I think he'll it'd be brilliant to see, really.
Yeah, it's one of them as well. I think the player I dread to lose, but it could easily happen, is Sander Berg. I know we paid him for big bucks, but it'd be just nice to see. Maybe give him a year, get fit.
Yeah.
If we don't go up, then maybe sell him then. But it'd just be good to see. Hopefully, I feel like having him inside definitely boosts United's chances of getting promotion.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult because he's been injured, so I don't think clubs might not. I know clubs know what he's about, but with him being injured and having this injury, I reckon that he might, like you say, another year, full season, get back to full fitness, and then if you go up, great, go up with you, and if you don't, then maybe push on. How old is he? He's only like 20. Is he 23, 24?
He's in his early 20s, I believe.
Yeah, so there's no rush. There's no real rush, because that can be a problem sometimes as well, that you try to jump too soon. Something that I had within my own career is sometimes I've been in a bit guilty of being in a rush to get to that next level and not being ready for it, and sort of fell out of love with things a bit, and then realised actually that you're good enough. If you're good enough, you'll get there, and you don't need to be in a rush. You just need to focus on where you are at the minute, what you're doing, and how you're playing.
Yeah, I agree, and there's definitely been some players where I feel like they took that next big step and it's not worked out for them. And there's been some players where they will relish it. But if you look in the Premier League over the last few seasons, like Rashford, for example, he took his opportunity coming through. But then there's been players like you could say, like Di Maria, for example, wanting to play in the Premier League. Didn't work out for him. Didn't stay here for long. And Sanchez at Man United didn't last long. So there is some teams where you go to and it just doesn't work out for you at all.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. It's difficult. It is difficult. It's that balance, isn't it? Because, like you say, you get the opportunity and you get put in the opportunity, but you might not be ready for it. But you can't say no. If you say no, then that chance could go, or it doesn't look great. But if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it. So sometimes it can be worse. It can be like a lose-lose situation. You're not ready for it, but you play anyway, or you have a go at playing at that level and it don't work out for you. And it's just a nightmare situation, really.
Yeah, and especially at the level in the Premier League, it's all about the price tag as well. So it's like if Jadon Sancho doesn't perform at Manchester United straight away, he's going to get loads of stick because he's got that price tag over his head. It'll like Fernando Torres when he signed for Chelsea. And like, we paid 50 million and we can't get him to score. And even some United fans were bruised after we paid 20 odd million and he's not contributed into with the goals. So sometimes I feel like the price tag of what teams play doesn't help the player at all.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's the
connections going again.
Swallowness. Yep, I'm still there. Yeah, sorry, connection's having a shocker today. So you mentioned you played for Swallowness, Maltby, Handsworth. Who did you play for first?
So I started at Handsworth. I left college and I went to Handsworth and I played at Handsworth Paramore, where they used to play at Sandy Lane, where Worksop play now. So they used to ground share that. I played there for a bit, and then I wasn't getting in the team much, so I went and signed for Swallowness in the league below, and ended up having a really good 3/4 of a season there. One of the I'd hands down say one of the best times I had in football, with the dressing room and the lads and the managers. It was just a really fun season, and we ended up, when I first joined, we were in a real relegation scrap, but by literally the last 10 games, we were a mid-table side playing really good football. And then after that, I went from there to Maltby, and then left Maltby to sign for Barrow, but then ended up an issue with contracts and things like that at Barrow, where I ended up coming back to Maltby, and I've been playing for there ever since joining Grantham just to June that's just gone.
Fantastic. Which one of those do you have a favourite? Or any particular big memories?
I think I owe a lot to Maltby as a club, because they've looked after me for 3 years and supported me through university and really tended to my needs and gave me everything I needed at that time. There's a lot of nice people involved at Handsworth, even though I didn't play much. There was a lot of nice people there, especially the chairman there now. I still speak to him quite a lot, and he's a really nice guy. And then the team, like I said, that does stick out, it was Swallow Nest. Like I say, I've only played 3/4 of a season, but it was one of the best times in my footballing career, just from my confidence, the way I was playing, the way the team was playing. Because how it worked was our manager got sacked after only being there for like 3 games or 4 games, and one of the older lads who was playing at the time got asked to take it over and to stop playing, and he did so. And he took it over, and he just had a really good season. He brought in one of his mates as the assistant, and we just had like a great dressing room. Everyone sort of bought into what they were trying to do, and we ended up building a massive fine pot up. And then for the end of the season, we went out as a team to Beverley races and had like a full day out. And just remember this brilliant coach journey to and from Beverley, which is just absolute carnage. Some stuff can't obviously be said on the podcast, but yeah, it was just brilliant times, mate. Fun times. 18, 19-year-old, just loving non-league football, and just loving, financially was probably the lowest I've ever been on, payment wise, but didn't ever cross my mind once the money side of it, because of the enjoyment I was getting from it. Whereas I've been at other places in my career where I've earned money, and money's become the objective in certain times. And sometimes I think when it's like that, them ones can be the worst, where you're playing a bit to pick your money up instead of playing for the love of the game. So hopefully this season at Grantham, I'm going to find that love again for it and really get invested in it and try and have a great season and enjoy it.
I know, I hopefully do, mate. And I wish you, like I said before, wish you the best of luck for the season. I mean, Colliver as well, assistant manager.
Yeah, great. Funny guy, mate. Funny guy. Character.
Yeah. And Colton Palmer, I was talking to one of the lads today. He's a Wednesday fan, and he went to Colton Palmer's sort of like a meet and greet where you can ask questions with.
He does like the after dinner speeches, doesn't he?
Yeah, he did one of them for Wednesday, and he said, "I'll not tell you some of the stories because I'll not get into shit." But basically, some of the stories I got told today was class from what I've been shared. So
yeah. Well, prior to meeting the gaffer, I listened. I don't know if you know. Do you know Under the Cosh, the podcast?
Yes.
With them, yeah, I'm quite big into them. So the gaffer's done one of them about a year ago. So I had a little listen to that, and there's some great stories on there from the gaffer. And just since he's come in, he's brought a very old school sort of way of doing things, which I think a lot of people appreciate in non-league. I think if you can try and be too technical with it all and try and be too professional with it, it doesn't work, because at the end of the day, you've got a group of lads who they're switched on, concentrated. But if they're playing away in South Shields on a Tuesday night, they're not waking up the next day, having the day off, coming in Thursday and on a recovery day. They're waking up the next day to get to work at 6 a.m. to go fix someone's sink or put some scaffolding on someone's house. So it's you got to find the balance, really, I think, in non-league, and so far they've been brilliant at doing that. Like, we had a session the other day where we were training just in Millhouses Park, and it was just we didn't actually do a great deal, but I think everyone came away from the session and got a lot out of it, and that speaks volumes of what Matt, Jas, and the gaffer are doing at the football club.
Yeah. One last question I'm going to ask you, because I know you got to shoot soon, is a lot of people on this podcast, we ask them the best and the worst grounds, and they always say the worst grounds are ones with running tracks, and Groundhoppers Town's name has been mentioned a few times. So as a player, do you feel like you're close to the fans? Is it hard with the running track? What's it like as a player aspect?
Did you prefer those sort of grounds, or would you prefer to be closer to the fans?
When I'm playing away, this is interesting. When I'm playing away, I'd rather play in a game where there is more atmosphere, because I think in different sort of grounds, so a running track ground, because that atmosphere can sometimes raise your game a bit because it keeps you more concentrated. But at home, when things are a bit more relaxed and it's a bit more feels at home, I think it's been fine. The ground, I think the pitch is looking brilliant. There's the stand so obviously there's the big stand at which we walk out the tunnel, but the stand opposite is actually quite close. But I think it's a bit closer on the other side than the stand is that you walk the tunnel out of. But I think we had 175 in the other night against Frickley, which is a decent crowd. They brought some fans. They were making a bit of noise. So there was atmosphere, yeah. But like you say, when the games come, and we obviously hope to get 500 to 1,000 fans a week, with the away fans included, I think the atmosphere will still be as good as it will be if you go in to places like Matlock, South Shields, them sort of places.
Fair play. Atmospheres are always the best.
Yeah.
But yeah. So worst ground as where I've been to as a fan or where I've played at.
We'll go both.
Right, worst ground straight up, no question about it. Yorkshire Amateurs.
Oh, okay.
Have you been?
I've been with Shirebrook Town years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
We always liked that away day, but again, because the stand's really old, run down. Yeah.
Is that the one?
Not a nice place to go, mate. Always get beat. Always lose 3-0. And horrible drive as well. It's right in the centre. So
it is.
If you sat nav or your Google Maps turn off, you're turning the car around. You're not getting there. It's impossible to find unless you've got a decent sat nav or Google Maps on. So worst
coach as well, yeah. Sorry.
Worst ground I've played at as a player, it would be Yorkshire Amateurs.
Yeah.
Best ground I've played at as a player, I would have to say, I'd probably say Watford. When we was with Sheffield United, yeah, that seemed like a beautiful pitch, and the ground it was like, I think they'd done it up a bit. Don't know if you've been to the newish sort, or they've done the pitch up. But yeah, it's just like really nice interior. Like the design's good, and it's quite compact and tight to the pitch. The stand is quite tight to the pitch. So I'd say from a playing perspective, them two. Favourite ground as a fan watching Blackburn would be, it's not there anymore, but the old Brentford.
Okay. Yeah.
Griffin Park. That was a brilliant ground. Can't believe they got rid of that, because that was just brilliant. Pub on every corner of the ground. So great ground to go to as an away fan. And then the worst ground, I would have to say, is maybe Huddersfield Town.
Huddersfield? Wow.
Yeah, maybe.
It is built more for rugby rugby ground.
Yeah. And they split the away end. They split the away end in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's not the best, but
I
I'm
like
surprised.
I like a designated away end. Like I love the
Okay.
away end at like Leicester, Derby in the corners, or Forest, Nottingham Forest in the corner, or even at Bramall Lane, the below bit, or at Hillsborough, you're in a certain section. I don't like it when they merge fans in the same area for away and home.
It's a valid point, to be fair, yeah. But I mean, I say I like the design of the ground personally. I'm looking forward to visiting it when I get the chance.
Yeah,
and
it just didn't seem there was just no atmosphere. It just didn't see it wasn't. Yeah, maybe because we played shit. Danny Graham scored after 2 minutes, and after that, I don't think we had a kick and lost 3-1, or 2-1. So
wow.
So yeah, that's to answer your original question about best and worst grounds.
Fair play.
And final question, we tend to ask this to everyone. If you could sum up football in 3 words, or in a phrase with 3 words, what would it be?
3 words. Ooh. Can't live without.
We've not had that one before, and I like it.
That was a phrase about football.
We have it once where somebody's got what someone else has said, but that's fantastic.
Yeah,
can't live without it. It's the best thing in it. It's just the best thing. Whether you're a fan, whether you're a player, referee, whatever, a kit man, a physio, it's just infectious, mate. Everyone loves to be a part of it. There's nothing better than being involved with football. It can be such a powerful tool to bring people together, unite people, help people with mental health, and you just create memories for life, mate. Brilliant. Honestly, love it. Love it. It's my job.
Yeah.
I play still. If I'm not playing, I'm straight onto WhatsApp onto my dad saying, let's get some Blackburn tickets ordered. Just honestly, best thing ever.
Oh, mate, fantastic.
Great summary. Spot on that one.
Brilliant.
Right. Again, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for coming at such short notice as well.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you very much. Fantastic.
No worries, guys. Great stuff. Keep it going. Thank you for letting me on and give my opinion on stuff.
Thanks again for the short notice. Apologies about my internet connection as well. It's had a shocker today.
No worries.
But,
no worries.
Hopefully we'll come and see you at Grantham in action.
Yes, mate. You'll have to rate the ground. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting rating that one is compared to some people we've had on about it. Yeah, but hopefully they'll come when there's a lot of fans there.
Yeah, good stuff, boys. Good stuff. Thank you.
Right.
No problem,
See you later.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.